They call her many names: demon, screecher, first wife, hag, serpent, witch. But in truth, she was simply first. Welcome to the second episode of Goddess, Witch, Woman. I am Marianna. I'm a storyteller and a divine feminine researcher. And today we begin a descent, not into darkness for the sake of fear, but into the rich loam of old stolen stories. Stories that pulse beneath the surface of time. Stories that make us remember. So today we begin with Lilith. I could speak of Lilith for days. Truly, my relationship with her is ancient, old, really old. She was the first goddess that stirred my young mind's attention when I was a teenage girl. She came in disrupting my Catholic upbringing. She was the one who awakened something in me that felt really dangerous and holy all at once. And it felt like being seen by the shadows. She was a mysterious woman beckoning me and waiting to reveal something I yearned for. She was held by the rage, and she was loved by parts of myself that had always been exiled and I didn't even realize. So I chose her to begin this series in this podcast because she's often called the first woman. But Lilith is more than a character in a tale, in a rewritten tale, by the way. She's an archetype. She is a cosmic presence. She's a reclamation. She's a haunting, a homecoming. I feel her as a homecoming. I've been walking with Lilith for decades, and I still feel like I am a beginner in her presence. I feel her presence very strongly during seasons of winter, when the crone archetype, the old woman, the old hag archetype stirs in me. So strangely enough, and maybe not so funny at the time, there were 3 winters in a row when I felt a deep urge to get divorced while working very closely with Lilith's energy. So be careful. And my poor husband had done absolutely nothing wrong. I was simply resonating on a deep archetypal level with her rage and her need to be free from any form of control, especially the symbolic masculine, the male figures. And once I understood this, I channeled her fire into other areas in my life that I needed to purge. And I'm happy to say my marriage is just fine. Okay, but let's get to know her a bit. I'll tell you her story the way she whispered it to me on a night thick with moonlight and rebellion. A story older than scripture, older than shame. A story that begins not with a rib from a man, but with wings. So settle in, unclench your jaw, loosen your expectations, because Lilith never followed the script. So here it goes. In the beginning, they say, the divine formed 2 from the same earth, Adam and Lilith, equal in dust and equal in breath. She was not shaped from his rib, but she rose beside him, whole and wild. But then Adam, the little shit that he was, tried to rule over her, to name her, to lay her beneath him, and she refused. She wanted pleasure as well. So she uttered the first sacred no ever spoken by a woman. She cried the forbidden secret name of the God that claimed had made them. But I ask you, what man can create alone without woman? Where is the mother in this story, I wonder? Hidden by the ancient dust of man's cunning patriarchy. So Lilith cried and she grew wings, great dark wings of memory and knowing and truth. And she left the garden. She did not fall, she flew. Lilith crossed the desert. She whispered with serpents. She danced with owls. She made her home among the roots of the tree of knowledge. Some say she stayed in Eden, unseen, guarding the fruit that could awaken the sleeping minds of humankind. Some say she was the serpent, the initiator of original sin. I say she whispered to her sister Eve. She whispered the truth. Others say she became the storm itself, rushing through the night to rattle the walls of certainty. And the ones who remained back then, those who feared her, they rewrote the tale. They made her into a screecher, a seductress, a danger to man. They said she devoured children. She ruined crops. She tempted the innocent. But the truth is she protected what was sacred. She stirred what had almost died and gone numb. She burned with the memory of freedom. She was not made to obey. She was made to remember. And so she lives on in women and men who are brave enough to see the truth. She lives in every boundary that is set, in every voice that is raised, in every human who dares to walk away from what no longer honors them. This is the Lilith who came to me. This is the story I was given. So long before the Hebrew texts cast her out of Eden, Lilith was known elsewhere. We will find her name echoing from the clay tablets of Babylon, of Sumer. There she may have been what they called Lilith, a wind spirit, a storm goddess, the owl of the night. She was not evil. She was not cursed. She was a force of nature. This concept of evil and good, it's a very Hebrew and then Christian concept, right? And she was believed to be linked to Inanna and Asherah. Maybe we'll do some podcasts on them. So they were powerful goddesses of sex, of war, or of fertility, of wisdom. And in some depictions, Lilith guards sacred trees. In Inanna's story, Lilith is in the tree. She dwells where the knowledge and life grow wild. Does that sound like a demon to you? Well, maybe, but it's a different concept of demon, right? So then came the rewrites. In medieval Jewish texts, Lilith is called the first wife of Adam. She was created like him from the earth, but she would not lie beneath him. She refused to submit. She named herself equal, and then she left. And for that, she was demonized. So in their retelling, Lilith becomes the dangerous woman, the seductress. She's a baby killer. She's in the shadows of the night. She steals men's semen. But I ask you, what is more terrifying to a patriarchal god than a woman who knows she can leave? A woman who chooses freedom instead of being obedient, of being a wife. A woman who refuses to be silent. That's quite scary for men who are not in touch with anything else other than these patriarchal values. So Lilith has been reclaimed by feminists, by witches, by artists, and seekers of a symbol of, I would say, radical self-ownership, sexual freedom, female rage as sacred. In modern witchcraft nowadays, she stands tall beside the dark moon and she calls women home to themselves. She teaches us to listen to the voice that says, "No more, I will not stand for this." So she's not evil. Maybe she's misunderstood, but not evil. She's not monstrous. She is memory, the memory of the wild, sexual, raw, feminine power. So who was she really? She was the first. She was wild. She's the part of you that will never settle for silence. That part that would rather walk alone in the desert than be chained to a lie. And she's not gone. She was never gone. And if you feel her stirring now, know this, that she remembers you too. She's part of you too. We'll go further into her story in the next episode. I'll thank you for walking with me in this remembering, listening to her story. And next week, I think we will explore Lilith's shadow, her rage, and the sacredness, the holiness of the things that we, especially women, were taught to hide. Until then, speak truth, walk free, and honor the wild one within yourself. With fire and healing stories, I'm Marianna. Blessed be, and I hope to be with you next time.